mencionaban recién, creo que incorpora en la salud sexual, entonces me parece que tiene algo distintivo que muchas veces no está del todo reconocido en la sociedad en general y en el sistema de salud en particular. Monitorea al pediatra el crecimiento y volvemos cuando tenemos un infarto o cuando tenemos un accidente de tránsito o una situación de violencia. Entonces me parece que poder incorporar en este concepto que bueno, plasmamos en esta campaña que se llama Varones que se cuidan, la responsabilidad del varón, en este caso en las cuestiones sobre su salud sexual y reproductiva, nos parece innovador. Me parece, como recién mencionaba, dar respuesta a una demanda que, como ustedes nos explicaban, a veces en otros continentes hay que construirla y hay que buscarla, y no es el caso de nuestros vecinos que buscan esto, que se involucran y que quiere ser un poco ejemplo para sus parejas o para sus propios vecinos.
Thank you. Muchas gracias, Jonathan. Vamos a seguir, estamos intentando recuperar un poquito del tiempo, pero muchísimas gracias por venir, por todo el apoyo. Y esta semana firmamos un convenio con el ministerio y nuestro compromiso sigue. Después de este año siempre decimos que no termina cuando acaba las 24 horas, es simplemente comenzamos nueva etapa y veo muchas posibilidades. Muchas gracias.
Por nada.
Bueno, vamos a seguir. Quiero reconocer gente que están en esta, bueno, no están ahora, pero están en Zoom y muchos que han estado muy cerca de nosotros. No estoy seguro quién está en línea, pero si no sé, alguien me puede decir. I know that Chris Purdy is out there, so let's start with Chris. Chris Purdy is the president of DKT International. He's came out of the blue, supported us. It's been 8 years that they've been giving us support. But more important, I'll never forget the first time we had an international conference of family planning. We were in Rwanda. I got into the government wasn't happy with what we were doing, and they were trying to shut us down at one point. And I was really worried. I went up to Chris and I said to him, I'm really feeling bad this year because the program got canceled. We got threatened with arrest it was crazy. And he looked at me and he says, welcome to DKT. You're not really a worker in reproductive health until somebody threatens you with arrest. So I thought, well, we really made it now. We were fighters for the cause. So I'd like to pass the words. If you're out there, Chris, I apologize for the lateness, but you always show up for us. And a lot of what you're seeing here is due to your support over the years.
Yeah, I'm here, Jonathan, and great to be with you all, and happy to see all the great things that are happening. And I'm glad you didn't get arrested in Rwanda, but glad you've been able to continue this important work. And DKT is very happy to be a supporter of what you all do, and supporter of. And I know there's so many people who are involved in making World Vasectomy Day happen today, but all year long. You're involved in so many other activities. It's really no longer just a day. It's really a movement trying to convince and encourage male involvement in the world of reproductive health, and embracing men to take responsibility with their partners to be responsible, and whether that's vasectomy or some other way of support to be involved in being responsible men and changing social norms around male involvement. You know, World Vasectomy Day has done so much in that regard. So we're just very, very proud to be associated with you and support what you do and what everybody at World Vasectomy Day does. So hats off to you, and felicidades from Washington, D.C. to everyone in Argentina.
Actually, Chris gave the best speech at the International Conference of Family Planning last week. There was a lot of talking going on, and a lot of words. There's a lot of good words, a lot of passionate words. And Chris got up on the stage. There are 4,000 people in front of everybody. And he said something like, in 2020, we committed to $1 billion and changing the lives, I think, for 500 million people. I don't remember, CYPs. And he said, I'm here to announce today that we're doubling it so that by 2030, it'll be 2 billion and 1 billion. And he said, I hope everybody has a good conference, and it was over. He managed to get a speech in. He told me 1 minute and 47 seconds, which I think is a good lesson for all of us to get into action and to do work. And Chris is a real active person. And one of the greatest gifts that Chris gave me this year was we received a grant from a foundation in England called Children's Investment Fund Foundation. And we were looking for somebody to help guide us. You know, World Vasectomy Day has a lot of great things about it, lots of enthusiasm, lots of energy, but we were lacking in a certain infrastructure, we might say. We weren't organized. And I asked Chris, did he have any recommendations? We were thinking about, they had suggested perhaps we would hire a consultancy, and he gave me a really good quote. He said, agencies are like, they give you the watch to tell you what, you give them a watch to tell you what time it is. So I always thought that was a really good line. So then he said, you should meet Dana Hovig. So Dana has been by our side since March, a huge part of what we've been doing. And I wanted to bring Dana on because he's really been a huge emotional support, incredible support, technical support on all levels. So if you're there, Dana, you please join us.
Thanks, Jonathan, and wish I could be there in person. I do dislike going after Chris because his glasses are much cooler than mine. He's more handsome than I am, and he's got a vasectomy T-shirt, and all I have is this little keychain. So I want a T-shirt. But more than that, I'm really excited about the next 24 hours and about all that's happening in World Vasectomy Day in Argentina and around the world. We know that vasectomy is a big part of the method mix, a big part of contraceptive use in a whole bunch of different countries, in New Zealand, in the US, in the UK, increasingly in Mexico, now increasingly in Argentina and Nepal. And so it's exciting to see this movement really take shape and to have men really contribute to the fertility transition in their countries and taking responsibility. But there's a second and actually more important reason I'm excited about these next 24 hours. And that is that what Jonathan so eloquently talks about the movement that this symbolizes, that it gives us a chance to talk about the role of men and boys in families, in communities, in societies. You know, we see every day men searching for a role in their families, in their futures. And there's a role with dignity and responsibility and meaning and purpose. And we see one voice or a group of voices really trying to pull them backwards into the 1950s and the 1960s, into hierarchy and misogyny and gender norms which are backward looking rather than forward looking. And I think today is the day when we can think about the future. WVD is about articulating a future where men can find dignity and responsibility and love in an act, vasectomy, but also in the way they can define themselves moving forward. And that's what I've come to love about WVD. Vasectomy is very important, as I started with, but it's really that changing of how men think about themselves and our role in society and how we can find dignity in a new and better way, forward-looking rather than backward-looking. So wishing everybody a great 24 hours in Argentina. Felicidades, and as one says here in Portugal, parabéns, boa noite.
Thank you so much, Dana. I don't have a little, could somebody tell me who's out there? Because I don't know who's actually I had to call upon because I don't see the names of the people who are here. But Dana, thank you so much. Dana, just before you jump off, I was curious, like, do you see, like, you've been doing this now for a long time. How has it changed over the years in terms of engaging with men? Has it been consistently easier, better, or what's been the trajectory since you started?
I feel like it's been a lot of, increasing amount of talk about engaging men, but not always a lot of action, not a lot of action, of purposeful action and learning and things like that. That's why I think what WVD does is so important, because there's concrete evidence that you're engaging men, and men are joining men's clubs, responsible men's clubs, and then spreading the word. So I see increasing interest and increasing talk, but not a lot of sort of learning and evidence that that something's working. And I think you see in Mexico, in Argentina now, and countries around the world, this is working, and we're getting real feedback from real customers and real people.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dane. I know it's getting on. We really appreciate it. We're going to be starting working on Monday to get ready for 2026. But thank you so much for all the support you've given this year. It's really made a big difference. I'm wondering, of our board members, is anybody else there? Is Monica, are you there? No. Could I ask somebody to put the names of the people so I actually have a clue who to ask? Okay, Ariel, please join us up front. Why not? Join us, please. Y podemos hablar español. Un aplauso para Ariel Sánchez, que ha sido, él va a explicar, pero viene del Ministerio de Mujeres y una división dedicado al bienestar de los hombres. Está bien, aquí él va a estar co-auspiciando una de las horas, pero después de esta, pero a ver quién nos cuenta.
No sabía que tenía que entrar de nuevo. Bien, sí, como contaba Jonathan, dentro del Ministerio de Mujeres tengo una dirección a cargo que viene trabajando con los varones puntualmente en las políticas de género e incluirlos en las políticas de igualdad, de cuidado, que sabemos que, bueno, muchas veces los varones son resistentes a ese tipo de trabajos, a involucrarse en esas conversaciones, e inclusive no solo resistentes, sino han construido discursos en contra de esas políticas de igualdad y se han organizado en contra de esas políticas de igualdad y cuidado. En este sentido, venimos trabajando desde el Ministerio con los varones en dos líneas. Una que tiene que ver con el abordaje en violencia y trabajando con los varones que han sido denunciados por las violencias, trabajando en lo que nombramos como estrategias no punitivas. Y otra que tiene que ver con las políticas de igualdad, que es la que nos han encontrado con el Ministerio de Salud de la provincia de Buenos Aires, pensando la salud de los varones, ¿no? Ya no pensarlo simplemente como quienes han ejercido violencia y cómo trabajar en ese reconocimiento de las violencias, sino comenzar a pensar diferentes tipos de servicios que puede ofrecer el Estado, en este caso el Estado provincial, para que los varones accedan a la salud, para que sus trayectorias también en educación, digo, las trayectorias por los diferentes derechos que muchas veces los vinculados al cuidado se los nota como más resistentes, puedan sentirse involucrados, digamos, en algún punto. Nosotros muchas veces decimos que pueden existir servicios como el de salud, como en este caso digo que se está transformando, pero no necesariamente eso es que da accesibilidad a los varones, porque muchas veces, por más que existan los servicios, digo, existen los hospitales ya aquí, los varones no terminan, como contaba recién Jonathan y contaba Carlota también, ¿no? No terminan pasando y teniendo trayectorias por el sistema de salud. Por eso también hay que pensar en esas trayectorias en clave de género, como los mandatos de masculinidad muchas veces, esto es verse siempre como fuertes, que no les pasa nada, hace que no pasen por esos servicios. Y un poco por eso articulamos bastante con el Ministerio de Salud y fundamentalmente con la Dirección de Equidad de Género para pensar eso. ¿Qué estrategia podemos tener para que ellos se sientan convocados más al cuidado y menos al riesgo, ¿no?
Qué bien. ¿Y te ha sorprendido la respuesta del pueblo? Porque a mí me ha sorprendido. Hemos viajado ya, creo que 13 países en estos años y nunca hemos visto ese nivel de demanda que hemos visto acá.
Bueno, el otro día en el acto inaugural lo contaba el ministro de Salud, ¿no? Que decía que frente al prejuicio que podíamos llegar a tener con la ampliación, digamos, de un servicio, de una política sexual, de derechos sexuales para varones, apareció una demanda y explotó una demanda. Estaban demandando ese servicio y la verdad que sí me sorprendió porque uno tenía ese prejuicio, ¿no? Que los varones no iban a demandar o no iban a querer formar parte de la responsabilidad en el cuidado, ¿no? En el cuidado de su salud sexual. Sin embargo, estaban ahí Nicolás Crepla, que el ministro decía el otro día, bueno, el pueblo no termina fallando, digamos, y siempre está ahí, por lo tanto hay que escuchar. Y hay que escuchar, digamos, hacer una política de escucha. Y me parece que esto es el inicio, sin duda, de comenzar a pensar, digamos, unas políticas ampliatorias de mayor escucha que entienda las trayectorias de los varones en clave de género para que se involucren cada vez más y también les quiten, digamos, el peso y la responsabilidad que muchas veces llevan las mujeres en los cuidados, ¿no? Pero sí, la verdad que estoy un poco sorprendido y aparte, como nunca me ha pasado, vengo trabajando desde 2019 en el Ministerio de Mujeres, trabajando con varones en cuestiones de violencia, cuestiones más o sea, en diferentes temas. Y como nunca en esta semana me han escrito muchos varones directamente, generalmente te convocan mujeres a hablar de estos temas, me han escrito muchos varones para pedir información sobre vasectomía o nada, para empezar una conversación sobre el tema.
Ok, muy bien. Pienso que a las 7 vamos a comenzar.
Vamos a seguir conversando,
Vamos a
sí.
seguir conversando, pero realmente ha sido, yo nunca pensé al principio de hacer todo esto, solo aumentar el número de vasectomías. Realmente era ver esa recepción y ese cambio, y creo que los cambios están ocurriendo y nosotros estamos en esa ola y,
Sí.
y es fantástico ser parte de esa historia. Ha sido muy positivo. Cuando llegué aquí a La Plata, interesante, estaba aquí todo el grupo de Hells Angels.
Sí.
Los ángeles del diablo que llaman, y había miles, y era todo el contrario. Pensaba, oh, eso debería ser nuestro público, pero yo hablé con algunos y no me recibieron bien. Pero había miles. Yo pensé, ¿cómo La Plata es el centro de
Lo fue. Pero es centro también de otras cosas.
Es tan linda. Es una ciudad linda. Quiero también, voy a pasar la voz a Sandra Oyarzo, que es la presidenta de Madronas. Está basada en Chile. Como he dicho antes, incluir a las madronas es algo muy importante. Va a hablar con nosotros un poquito sobre esa experiencia y qué se puede esperar de madronas. Sandra Oyarzo de Chile.
Bueno, primero que nada, muchas gracias. Muy emocionada de estar acá con Jonathan y con todos quienes están online. Para nosotros es una maravilla realmente estar como Confederación Internacional de Matronas, que representa 1.700.000 matronas en el mundo, en este evento tan importante y tan desafiante. Ayer conversábamos con otras colegas y también con uno de los médicos de World Vasectomy Day acerca del desafío que significaba poder avanzar hacia la equidad. Y que muchas veces nosotros como mujeres también lo veíamos siempre como desde el lado de las mujeres y nos olvidábamos que también los hombres podían querer tener este cambio, como decía recién el doctor, ¿cierto? Como decía recién, muchas veces pensamos que no va a pasar, pero sin duda que puede suceder. Y ahí estamos nosotras las matronas, las obstétricas, que podemos hacer porque todas nosotras estamos en las comunidades, en el lugar donde ustedes vayan va a haber una obstétrica en todos los lugares del mundo y normalmente estamos con las familias, estamos con los hombres también, por lo tanto es una oportunidad para poder partir educando acerca de la importancia del empoderamiento también de su salud sexual y reproductiva y no reproductiva, y algún día también, como decía Jonathan, ¿por qué no también partir apoyando en lo que sea, ¿no es cierto?, la vasectomía, porque son procedimientos que nosotros también podemos realizar.
Sí, ¿y qué es la ventaja, en tu opinión, de extender la práctica para que parteras pudieran hacer ese tipo de procedimiento?
Bueno, como conversábamos también, bueno, ¿cuál es la ventaja? Creo que es muy importante. Las matronas, como digo, son un profesional que existe en todas partes del mundo, ha existido de formación de entrada directa en muchos países y desde hace 200 años, 300 años. La ventaja creo que es que podemos estar muy cercanas a las comunidades que nuestra formación es basada en competencias, por lo tanto las habilidades las tenemos para poder realizar distintos procedimientos, que estemos habilitadas, por supuesto, y que la regulación nos apoye. Y, por supuesto, al estar en la cercanía de las mujeres y sus familias, sin duda puede haber más confianza y una entrada directa al poder ampliar estas competencias de las midwives, que en este momento hay nuestras competencias, pero obviamente sería un área que habría que ir explorando.
Bien. Bueno, muchas gracias, Sandra. Sandra va a estar hablando mañana. Quiero tomar este momento para decir que estamos aquí en Argentina. Estoy hablando en español, but I'm going to switch to English now. So for the translation, Spanish, I think people can get Spanish translation. Just wanted to say that we have been working really hard, not just here in Latin America, not in Argentina, but in Africa, especially. We have a fantastic program there. Our regional director, Sheila Gadea, is with us by Zoom. But I wanted to just introduce her a little bit. I met her in 2016. We did a little workshop. It was just to teach people how to social media gatherings, just talking about film. And she was the only person in the group that asked a question. I think that be a lesson every day. People who ask questions, they have a kind of a curiosity, and I recognize that. And later that evening, me and my team traveled to another city, and we got to the city, and I got my wallet. I had no money. We were about to take a road trip with all of Kenya, and I left the wallet back in Nairobi. And we were trying to find somebody who could bring me the wallet, and there was Sheila, and she volunteered to get on the bus, go 6 hours, meet me with the wallet, so I could pay the hotel bill so we could leave, and then continue the trip throughout the country. Actually, she's never really left World Vasectomy Day since, and she just started in that role, and now she runs the entire program in Africa. She's going to talk a little bit about that right now. Sheila, welcome. I know it's hours later, so thank you for staying awake. Are you there, Sheila?
Yes, I am. I'm so happy to be here. Greetings from Zambia. Greetings to everyone in La Plata, everyone in Argentina right now. We are so happy to see Argentina hosting. Last year, we hosted this, and just so honored to be here today and to be part of the people who are speaking in the first hour. So yes, Jonathan loves to tell that story. And honestly, I've always told people after me, who came after me, is ask questions, show up. You just never know where the journey takes you. When I met Jonathan, I didn't have any experience in reproductive health. I had not worked in reproductive health before. And I remember one thing Jonathan told me, which I always tell people, that he told me he's going to teach me everything he knows. And I'm sure over the past 8 or 9 years that we've known each other, he has really taught me everything that he knows. And now we both learn from other people like Dana, who has been supporting us all year, like Jonathan mentioned. And I'm really proud of all the work that we have done in Africa this year. This work started in 2023, mostly in Zambia. And I remember that year we did a data research, and we had done, in Zambia, the doctors had done only 7 vasectomies in 2022. In 2023, WVD held its first training in Zambia, and in 5 days, there were 56 vasectomies that were done. Now, I know this might sound like a very small number, but from a country that had done 7 vasectomies to do in the whole year, 12 months, and then happened to do 56 vasectomies in 5 days. Honestly, that was incredible for the Ministry of Health, for the doctors, and for Maristops Zambia that held the training, because at the time we didn't have a resource center or a clinic as WVD. I would say in that year, 2023, WVD went on to do 191 vasectomies. But there was a shift that happened. We got 4 men who had had their vasectomies who became champions. At the time, we had an idea of the story of a movement, the story of men who wanted to rise above getting a vasectomy. But we had these 4 champions and we didn't know what to do with them. That year, we did 191 vasectomies. Today, as I speak, since 2023, WVD has facilitated 1,521 vasectomies in Zambia alone. And that is 2023, 2024, and 2025, and it's not over, so I'll probably be updating by December 31. And with that, we opened the Langiza Chikonde Clinic. The Langiza Chikonde Clinic is a resource center in Zambia that is an affiliate of World Vasectomy Day. The word Langiza Chikonde is a local name for an act of love. This clinic was named by the champions. Those 4 champions today have grown into 450 champions. We started with 4 in 2023. Today, as we speak, we have 450 champions in the Responsible Men's Club. Now, the Responsible Men's Club is a story on its own, and it's told through our champions. The story tells a movement of what happens when we give men an opportunity to rise up, when we give men an opportunity to actively participate in the most critical issues in their society. And this is not just reproductive health, but it's other issues, just like the previous speaker mentioned, gender-based violence, people who are conscious about the earth that they live in, men who are just conscious men. And this Responsible Men's Club has really catalyzed action towards all those other societal issues that people face in Africa. And the story is really no different in Uganda. This year alone, we have facilitated as WVD 1,165 vasectomies. Now, I won't go into the story of where we started in Zambia, in Uganda, but I think we can see that this is a movement that is growing. And the vasectomy for people in Uganda and Zambia, for the men, is really the first step to this story, to this movement. It's the first step that men take when they want to rise above what they've been known to be, especially in our societies in Africa, where men are always looked at as really they can't take part in family planning. Although really they're the heads of the family, 70% of households in Africa are directed by men. But somehow when it comes to family planning, I would say almost 90% of women carry the burden of family planning in Africa. So to see that shift in thinking, that shift in knowledge and in attitudes that WVD is facilitating is what makes me really proud to be part of this organization.